Welcome, Sanjay ji.
Good evening, good morning, everybody. Namaskar.
Namaskar, Sawadee Krap.
So, Namaskar ji, I just want to inform you that we are live on Facebook now.
Yes.
Thai Indian Community Facebook group.
Good to hear.
So give me around 5 minutes from now before we start the program. So meanwhile, please meet and greet, say hello to each other. You're welcome to talk other things.
So, Ms. Rashmi, you have arrived safely.
Yes, I did. Yeah, sometime back.
So must be quite a fast driving.
No, I think roads are pretty good and Bangkok traffic is not that much right now. So
No.
yeah, we could really come within 2 hours, I think. Yeah.
In 2 hours. Wow.
2 hours plus 5 minutes. Yeah, I was here at home, which is not bad. Usually it takes around 2 to 3 hours. Yeah.
2 3 hours. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You travel such a long time and distance to this meeting
Yeah.
this morning. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah.
Was the event impressive? You are satisfied with it?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
I'm interested to see the quiz.
Quiz, yeah.
Gandhi.
Sure. Yeah, you must attend because you need to test your knowledge as well. Because we'll be designing for different age groups, and currently will be like for very young kids.
Oh,
So
good.
the questions will be pretty simple, easy according to the age group. But later on, yeah, you might be interested in the difficult ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, indeed, I'm very interested.
Yeah, because while preparing questions, I am researching a lot, and I am also learning too. So many things. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We should have some small cartoon drawing about Gandhi. Like
I was thinking like not to lift a pen. Like if you don't lift a pen and draw a Gandhi like in single line. So that is a challenge actually.
It is. Indeed,
Yeah.
it will.
Yeah. Let's see how people come up with like different ideas. Not to lift their pen and in a single stroke, they have to draw Gandhi.
Right.
You need to practice. I
lot.
know only one posture which I can, but I don't know how others will do it.
That'd be very good indeed.
Creative, yeah.
Very, very creative.
Yeah.
Must be a very innovative artist.
Yeah, I think people will be really scratching their heads how to do it. Yeah.
It's how much detail one have to go into as well. The
Maybe
silhouette or
they
his
should
whole
have
body.
They should have an end product in their mind and then start drawing without lifting the pen.
Just one stroke.
One stroke, yeah. Quite a challenge.
It is a great challenge.
Yeah.
It demands high
I could do only one style, like one posture of Gandhiji, like the side pose with the specs. I could draw that with the one stroke, but I don't know. Maybe people know other ways also.
Yeah.
Of
Must
this
be very-
thinking, yeah. Yeah.
Must be gifted.
Too many ideas. One by one, maybe we'll go with quiz first. I'm
And what
hoping
will be
to
the reward? What will be the reward?
Kids are like the interns, the other interns are very young students and they are thinking like their age group and they know what is best for them.
Hmm.
So we are coming up with pretty interesting prizes which attract youngsters. They might not be that attractive to us all because we all have all those gadgets, but we think that the kids will be driven to participate because they'll have something into their possession exclusively, like maybe a Bluetooth speaker with alarm, with everything, lights, the disco lights which can attach to your music system and dance like a disco room in your room itself. Things like that, which are very kiddish for us, but for kids, I think they are very, very, very things, very like they would like to have them for themselves, and parents might not approve. So,
Yeah.
so we will give them.
Hello, Namaskar ji. So let me just ask Rashmi to please take at least 1 or 2 minutes to inform from start to finish about the quiz that we are going to conduct in the next 3 months. Because people are watching us on Facebook as well. So I would like to get this message across that we are conducting a quiz on Gandhi. So please take 2 minutes from now and explain everything in detail. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. We are conducting an online quiz for all the participants, like all the age groups, but initially we'll be starting with like age group 11 to 14 years of age first. And this will be online quiz. People have to register and we will come up with questions. Quiz will be conducted online. You can participate from your own comfort of your own home. No need to come out anywhere. And this will like have very attractive prizes for that particular age group. And next we'll go on with other age groups later on. The coming months will have like 15 to 20, then 20 and above. So we have something for everyone, all the age groups. The idea is to introduce Gandhiji to the larger masses, especially to the younger masses, so that they learn about him, know more about him, and hence like benefit the society, because once they know about him, definitely they are going to gain something in their lives as well. So in the longer run, it will benefit everyone. So please do participate, encourage, spread the message around and be there. Maybe you will also learn something new. And we hope to see all of you there. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rashmi ji. It's about 5:45 now. So I would, in 1 minute, we are going to start the program, formal program now. And we have more people will join maybe after a few minutes from now. But 5:45, we are going to start the program. So let me tell you the proceedings, how we would like to go ahead today in this online event. So we want to be very straightforward, and in the beginning there will be a welcome address by Dr. Mano Lahovanich, Director of Gandhi Institute, Rangsit University. And then we have with us Miss Anu Singh. We have invited her to sing the favorite bhajan of Mahatma Gandhi ji, Vaishnav Janto Tene Kahiye, Peer Par Aayi Jaane Re. So Anu Singh ji is stationed at her home now for this event. And we will immediately after the welcome address, we will reach out to Anu Singh ji online, and then we will have this Vaishnav Janto Tene Kahiye song, favorite song of Gandhiji. And then I will introduce you our guest speaker today, Dr. Anand Gokani, who has already joined us. And after finishing the talk of Dr. Anand Gokani, it will last maybe 45 minutes to maybe 1 hour, depend on his inputs. And then we will have a chance to interact with Dr. Gokani one by one. You can note down some questions, comments, or some suggestions that you would like to share with Dr. Anand Gokani. So that is the plan going forward. So we expect to finish this event at 7:30, which is around 7:30, almost 2 hours altogether. So with that, let me welcome everybody at the 5th Gandhi Talk Series. And on behalf of Gandhi Institute, Rangsit University, it is a great pleasure and honor for me to welcome all of you. Before I invite Dr. Mano Lahavanich for the welcome address, I would like to give brief about the Gandhi Talk Series initiative that we have taken a few years back, 2018, and now 2021. So the first inaugural address of Gandhi Talk Series was done by Russian ambassador to Thailand, Kyle Barskai. And then the second Gandhi Talk Series we did with the Malaysian ambassador, Dato Georgie Samuel. And third one, we had Her Excellency Srimati Suchitra Durai. She addressed the third Gandhi Talk Series. Fourth, we did recently in March 2021, where we have invited the former ambassador of Thailand to India, Ambassador Sam, the great gentleman who have recently joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Thailand, in Bangkok. Then we have a 5th Gandhi Talk Series, where we have Dr. Anand Gokani today with us. In addition to the Gandhi Talk Series, we also organized 2 Gandhi Peace Dialogues in last year, very successful, based on the world crisis and also based on the religion. So these 2 Gandhi Peace Dialogues we have organized in Bangkok. Most of the activity that we have conducted so far, Gandhi Talk Series, that was physically in a ballroom hotel, but due to pandemic, we are doing this 5th Gandhi Talk Series online, and first time on the occasion of the Gandhi Jayanti, 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. So the idea behind the Gandhi Talk Series is to bring the Gandhian philosophy to through the intellectual people like ambassadors, writers, thinkers, intellectuals, who can share the insights of Gandhian philosophy to the people, especially the younger generation, as well as the professionals and people who are maybe less aware about the Gandhian philosophy of peace and nonviolence. So the purpose is very clear, that we want to promote the Gandhian philosophy of peace and nonviolence, and we would like to have a higher level of interaction up to the policy level, think tank and NGOs, institutions, government organizations, where we all put together all stakeholders, and we provide them opportunity of dialogue and interaction with each other, how we can use the Gandhian principle in resolving the most pressing crisis that world facing today. And with that brief introduction about the Gandhi Talk Series, we have entered on the 5th session of the series online. And let me go to the Dr. Mano Lahavanich to deliver welcome address of the 5th Gandhi Talk series. Dr. Mano.
Thank you very much, Sanjay, and welcome you all to this Gandhi Talk series. And we're very much honored to have the great grandson of Mahatma Gandhi as our speaker. I have to brief you a little more about the history of Gandhi Institute. The Institute was opened on October the 2nd, 2017 at Rangsit University, exactly the same day, 4 years ago. And the objective of Gandhi Institute are number one, to serve as a think tank for crisis management, policy making situation in Thailand and the world. Second, to create new leadership based on Gandhian philosophy. And thirdly, to serve as the bridge of between Thailand and India, from people to people, culture to culture. This is the three goals. I has in my mind the model of Harvard Center for Study of World Religion, which is at Harvard University when I was there. Very impressive center because they invite people of different faiths, different beliefs to spend their time together, eating, sharing food together, talking on different topics of the world, and they publish these as their book form every year. I found it's very good and very creative. So different religion has different interpretation of the situation worldwide. Then I brought this idea up to Dr. Atit Urairat, who was the president of Rangsit University, when he interviewed me for the first time on January 13, 2017. He asked me his condition, he wanted to have me there as professor. And I said, only one condition, sir. If you accept Gandhi, I will be working here. So I told him my project and my vision, and he said, wow, it's very useful. It's good for the world. It's good for world peace. Let's have it. So I became professor at Rangsit University since then. Now, my concern is not only with religion, but with civilizations, politics, economics, and how to solve crisis of the world. I hope to build a big center there at the back of Rangsit University in the area about 1 acre, a tall building about 21 stories with two levels of parking space. And then we'll spend time with it, dialogue of life, inviting people of different opinions, different ideas, philosophy to share time together to find solution about conflict in the world and generate it as a think tank solution for different conflict in the world, crisis. As at this far, we haven't gone as much as I imagined because of the pandemic. So, well, what I try to do my best, I wrote article almost weekly and published in Thai media. It's not published on paper, but it's read by no less than 250,000 readers for each article. And I attack all the controversy issue and offer solution. For example, this coming up, I will put on Facebook tonight with the help of Sanjay about conflict resolution of the crisis between Taiwan and China, which is looming. Yesterday, 34 planes from mainland China flew around Taiwan, invading its air space. How are we going to solve the problem peacefully? So I hope to have it put on Facebook of Gandhi Institute tonight. That is one of it. I offer many ways, and also for Southeast Asia, for Myanmar, what is the appropriate solution for Myanmar, and also written down. So this is part of what I've done as being a think tank. And I hope that in the future there will be more people to share idea with me about crisis resolution and how we should push the world forward for peace and harmony. So this is what I imagine for. And by this year, I hope we achieve more to reach out to different peace organizations, NGOs worldwide, and to work in harmony to tackle problems like global warming, arms raising, and potential outbreak of war. So we have to study it and trying to find solution in a peaceful manner based on the Ahimsa and abide by Satyagraha. I hope that this initiative will find you some useful information, and I believe that the philosophy of Gandhi, the great soul of us, would help the world in the 21st century to live in peace harmony. Thank you very much. I would welcome you all to this conference. Thank you.
Hello, Achan, finish?
Yes, please.
Achan, can you hear me?
So,
सत श्री अकाल जी।
हेलो गुरु जी, सत श्री अकाल जी।
हाँ जी, ऐसी बोल सकते हैं आप कुछ?
अभी नहीं, एक मिनट अभी नहीं। Sorry, Achan, thank you so much for your welcome address. And moving forward, let me welcome everybody today for joining this event. And after the welcome address of 5th Gandhi Talk Series, now I would like to invite Srimati Anu Singh ji for singing the favorite bhajan of Gandhiji. Anu ji, welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Can you hear me, everyone? Okay.
Yes.
Today, I'm going to sing Gandhiji's favorite bhajan, Vaishnava Janto. This bhajan lay emphasis on the virtues and ideals one has to follow in our life. Thank you. Let me start. वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहिए जी, पीड़ पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहिए जी, पीड़ पराई जाने रे। पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए मन अभिमान नारे रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहिए जी, पीर पराई जाने रे। सगलोक सहुने वंदे, निंदा न करे के नीरे। वाच काच महे निश्चल राखे, धन धन जननी पे नीरे। वैष्णव जने तो तेने कहिए जी, पीड़ पराई जाने रे। समदृष्टि ने कृष्णा त्यागी, पर स्त्री जेने मात रे। जिह्वा थकी असत्य न बोले, पर धन न मोह माया व्यापी नहीं जेने, दृढ़ वैराग्य जिना मन मारे। राम नाम शुभ ताणी रागी, सकल तीरथ तिना तन मारे। वैष्णव जने तो तेने कहिए जी, पीड़ पराई जाने रे। बड़ लोभी ने कपट रहित छे, काम क्रोध निवार्या रे। भड़े नर सयो तेनु दर्शन करता, कुल एको तिरतार्या रे। वैष्णव जने तो तेने कहिए जी, पीड़ पराई जाने रे। पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए, मन अभिमान लाने रे। वैष्णव जने तो तेने कहिए जी, पीड़ पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव जने तो तेने कहिए जी। Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Anuji. So nice of you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, let me introduce to you our guest speaker, Dr. Anand Gokani. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are so fortunate today to have with us Dr. Anand Gokani from London, UK. I would like to briefly introduce Dr. Anand Gokani. The first and foremost that everybody are aware that Dr. Anand Gokani is the great grandson of Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi. And we have a couple of interactions before finalizing this program with Dr. Anand Gokani. And we are very much excited to hear the views of Dr. Anand Gokani about the topic of propagating Gandhian values in the 21st century. Briefly, Dr. Anand Gokani is the Doctor of Medicine, MD, and he is a consultant physician with diabetes and metabolic disease as a specialty practice in Mumbai at Bombay Hospital. Dr. Anand Gokani has been practicing MD, Doctor of Medicine from last 34 years. He has been practicing in private sector for about 36 years. In addition to practicing medicine, he lectures to students, both medical and non-medical, on issues ranging from specific medical issues as well as the interest subjects of universal values and applications. Dr. Gokani conducts seminars and workshops on stress management, leadership, ethics, and values. He has been a visiting faculty member for the Institute of Gandhian Studies and the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences in Wardha, teaching students of medicine and political science on issues pertaining Gandhian thoughts on health, hygiene, ethics, and values. Dr. Gokani is also a trustee at the Bombay Hospital Medical Aid Foundation which renders financial and medical support to the needy patient to enable them to obtain the best medical care. The foundation also runs an eye hospital offering comprehensive care and competitive rates. Dr. Gokani, founder of palliative care ward at the hospital to care for terminally ill patients to give them comfort and dignity in the last months of their lives. He is an avid traveler, writer, and reads diversely and enjoys sports and photography. Dr. Gokani is married and has two sons, two daughters-in-law, and 2 grandsons. With a brief introduction of Dr. Anand Gokani, we are overwhelmed with the interest or interaction that we had with Dr. Gokani in the past couple of weeks, and we would like to open this conversation with the thoughts and values that Gandhiji has. And let me just tell you briefly about that. When we were looking for a speaker of 5th Gandhi Talk series, we have in our mind that we have a number of speakers, ambassadors, intellectuals, thoughtful people, writers. But our focus was that if we have somebody from the Gandhi family who has been in the same blood relation of Gandhiji, who can talk about the real life behind the Gandhiji and his thoughts, his struggles for the people of Bharat as well as all over the world. We thought that if somebody from Gandhi family talks about Gandhi, it has a much more larger impact in the society than somebody talking from the general knowledge and through the experience or readings and all that. So we would like to bring the real experience for all the viewers who have joined us on Zoom conference as well on Facebook Live. Let's listen to Dr. Anand Gokani and try to understand how Gandhian philosophy can take it forward for the 21st century and how we can propagate the Gandhian values in the next generation. So ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Gandhi Institute, Rangsit University, Acharya Dr. Mano, our director, and all of you present here today, I would like to give warm welcome to Dr. Anand Gokani. Dr. Anand Gokani ji, आपका हार्दिक स्वागत है.
Thank you so much, Sanjay ji.
So floor is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to first greet and thank you, Sanjay ji, Dr. Manur, for having invited me to this august audience, to think that I'm deemed fit enough to represent such a huge personality on this august audience and to share my views, which are still fledgling compared to what I have experienced in the last few days in interacting with you. I have, by accident of birth, born in this family, and that accident has put on me many responsibilities. So we have, initially people asked me, and also Dr. Mano asked me this in our conversation yesterday, that how do you react to being a part of the family and what are the things that it entails? And I did answer to him that it is like a two-edged sword, where on the one side, you get free invitations to give lectures to very dignified and very intellectually advanced meetings. But on the other hand, it thrusts upon you a huge responsibility to then earn your upkeep, to maintain your face in such meetings. And at this moment in time, I can tell you that in this audience, however large or small it may be, I am definitely sure that the audience knows as much and has even deeper views than I have. So I am probably uh, put to the test today, because in interacting with you all, I can't help but say that I am extremely proud of the fact that Gandhian values outside the shores of India are being nurtured as fervently as they should have been in our own country. Um, I'd like to make a couple of disclaimers. Number one is that I was born in 1957 and Gandhiji passed away in 1948 at the hands of a assassin's bullet. That definitely it was my loss, as was the nation's loss, because I never got a chance to meet him. But the Gandhianism or the Gandhiism that was passed down from his times through relatives percolated into us by sheer dint of proximity. We were there in the family and we had to listen to what was going on. And one of the most influential figures in my life was my mother's mother, who was Gandhiji's third daughter-in-law. Gandhiji had four sons, as you all remember, and the third son, Ramdas Gandhi, was the son that lived with him all the time. The other sons were scattered across the country, and the second son was in South Africa. And therefore, it became a privilege for us to have grown up in close proximity with the third son, and his wife lived for a very long time, and therefore our proximity with my grandmother, who was very close to Gandhiji and who almost looked after Gandhiji in her times, in her youth, had stories to tell us. And not only that, but to pass on those values with depth and understanding. So that was a big advantage. But my knowledge, my experience, my thinking, my understanding of Gandhiji is through her, and then the books that I have read and the thoughts that I have been influenced with in the family. There was one. The second was that having been invited here to talk on this very important subject, it is astride the old and the new. And as an experiment, when Sanjay ji, you asked me to speak on the Gandhian values and their relevance in the 21st century, the 21st century seems like a quantum different from the 20th century, especially since electronics have burgeoned so much and the cell phone has cut down distances. For example, we are able to sit in different corners of the world and still converse with each other, is simply because of the advances of the 21st century. And this maybe have been, the roots have been set in the 20th century, but the fruits are being enjoyed in the 21st century. And in that, the spread of information, the spread of knowledge, and the speed with which you have to react have almost broken down human minds in their effort to keep up with this speed of interaction. So based on that, when you asked me to speak on this subject, I was very excited. In my excitement, I shared this news with about 6 or 7 people in the city of London during one of my trips out of the house. And let me tell you the shocking findings that I had. I interacted with a wide range of age group, but I like to talk with youth. So I seek youth to talk with them. And I just sprung this question to them. I said, how much have you read about Gandhiji? And these are, some of them are Indians settled in England, and some of them are British subjects or subjects from different parts of Europe living in Britain. I may have asked 6 to 7 people. You won't be surprised. You will be surprised to know that none of them have read anything about Gandhiji. They have only a little notion that Gandhiji was a great man from India. But I was rudely shocked to know that in British schools, the history chapter doesn't include India or its reign over India and the Indian freedom struggle, which is such an important thing in our own country. And that made me think that if this were the state of affairs in the rest of the world, then Gandhian philosophy will have to be propagated with a lot more vigor, a lot more enthusiasm, and a lot more focus to educate the youth, lest they forget what values mean. So many people ask me, even my children ask me, so what is the relevance of Gandhi's values or value systems in the 21st century? And that led me to think about value systems. And I said to myself, I said, value systems are laws like etched in stone. And these laws are as old as the hills. They are not something that has to change with times. They don't have new editions and latest reprints. Values are something that is good for the common good for everybody. And therefore, these values known by the wise people way back in the centuries before Christ, about 5,000 years before Christ, these values were annotated in our religious books, the Vedas and the Upanishads, in Sanskrit. And they were followed for several years thereafter. But as life progressed, as mankind became more civilized, these languages became dead languages. And the language of communication became much simpler. And because of that, these languages were buried in libraries to be consigned to a dusty grave. Till in modern times, in the 19th century, two American gentlemen, to my knowledge, two American gentlemen, Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson, who studied Sanskrit. They were writers, they were scholars, they were thinkers, they were statesmen, and they were politicians. They had many other vocations also. They studied these books and from that gleaned the values, the ethics, the morals written in those books, which were timeless, and put them in English, albeit in olden English. And two books surfaced from all this effort. Henry David Thoreau wrote a book called Civil Disobedience, and Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote a book called Self-Reliance. It so happened that they used these two principles in their freedom struggle, and these two principles were annotated in these two books. And Gandhiji happened to read these books whilst he was languishing in jail during many of his fights for freedom, whether it is South Africa or in India. And when he read these books, Civil Disobedience and Self-Reliance, he was greatly influenced by them. And this influence of his led him to adopt the same two principles in his fight for freedom for India against British rule. And during that period, he even went ahead and said that civil disobedience is a negative connotation. The word disobedience is a negative connotation. And so to Indianize it, he called it Satyagraha. And that's how the whole movement of Satyagraha was started. Now, having absorbed these values, Gandhiji moved forward. And I don't wish to tell this learned audience as to how he arrived upon the fact that brute force is not how we can win against the British, or we win against any illness that confronts society, mankind, or the world itself. But passive resistance or satyagraha, insistence of the truth, would be the methods which he would employ. And he propagated these, and without a drop of blood, he miraculously obtained freedom over years of struggle, and with the help on communication with like-minded people. And that's why today in history he's venerated. To study Gandhiji's values is akin to studying values in general. And as I said, these values are as old as the hills. But Gandhiji has left behind for us a a prayer which he liked very much. I am regretfully unaware as to who wrote that prayer, but whoever did must have been as wise as our predecessors in the years before Christ who wrote the books. And this prayer is Gandhiji's favorite prayer, because I know this because every time I went to live in Sevagram, which was his latter years residence, the night prayer used to start with this prayer. And this prayer is Ahimsa Satya Asteya Brahmacharya Asangraha Sharira Shram Aswada Sarvatra Bhayavarjanam Sarvadharma Samanatva Swadeshi Sparsha Bhavna. These are 11 vows. These are 11 qualities. These are 11 values, which if a person were to imbibe, he would become a first citizen. He would become a man to follow. He would become a man of success, integrity. And today, even if we follow one of these, because none of them are delinked from each other, even if we make our youth follow any one of these, he would be a changed person. And today we see so much unrest in our world, despite having so much physical monetary wealth, despite having so much physical monetary uh, 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 opportunities. And there is so much progress happening in various different fields. I see one quality is absent, and that quality is happiness. That quality is peace. These two qualities of happiness and peace are absent, and you find that this world is more stressed, more unhappy, more wary, more fearful, and all these are qualities which are mentioned in this prayer. So let me take up this prayer one at a time, each word one at a time for translation's sake. The first word, ahimsa, I don't need to talk so much about it. Ahimsa means non-violence, means to no harm to anything living or non-living. Now, if we can just imbibe this, non-violence means you should not live and let live would be a better translation for non-violence. That you live and you let others live, whether it be an ant or a mosquito or a frog or a goat or a cow or a human being. Just let them live, because each creation has a position in this natural sequence of events. And so non-violence is a very deep quality which one must imbibe. But it starts off with non-violence between two people, and which means so many things. It encompasses things like anger and hatred and brutality and so many other factors. But the moment we still our mind and become non-violent, our non-violence starts to spread, because each one of us is an image of what happens to us. So whether we are a reflecting surface or whether we are a transmitting surface is a decision we have to make. And this decision, if we can make, that we are a transmitting surface, then we transmit non-violence from our side. As soon as we transmit non-violence, the answer from the opposite side, who is generally a reflecting surface, will reflect back as a non-violent reflection. And this will set the chain reaction. So non-violence in its deeper form would be non-violence in your food, non-violence in your acts, your behavior, non-violence to yourself. You don't harm yourself. And this would lead to a chain reaction of non-violent society and non-violent world. Today, we need this more than we ever needed it, because we talk of wars and we talk of violence in almost every sector of this world. Respected Dr. Manu already mentioned the disturbance between China and Taiwan, but the same between China and Tibet, the same between India and Pakistan, the same between Iraq and America versus America and Afghanistan. And now Afghanistan is at the focus of a civil war within itself. And all this is exemplifies violence. And if this violence were to stop, the first thing we have to do is adopt non-violence as a personal change. After ahimsa comes satya. We know that Gandhiji stood for truth. And he said very simply, it's not that Gandhiji never lied. He said very simply that I lied, I paid a price for it, and I realized that the best way to sleep, the softest pillow in my life is to speak the truth. The honesty is the softest pillow in my life. And so he he stuck to it, and he realized that when you can speak the truth, you can meet your adversary eye to eye. If you're not speak the truth, if you don't have the intentions based on truth, you're not able to meet your adversity eye to eye. And this pride, however weak you may be physically, this pride of being able to meet a strong adversary eye to eye stems from honesty and truth. And this value also is something that needs to be brought in to the youth of our countries, of our world, so that we have a more honest. Now, if you look at it in our normal behavior, very simple, silly example is that the number of divorces in this world are increasing exponentially. And not like in the olden days where people lived together, they ironed out their differences and stayed together. People have their own agendas in life. But the most important agenda in life for them is that they are not honest with each other. They are not truthful to each other. And in this respect, the suspicion, the guilt, and the inability to depend on a person is increasing. And as a result, families are breaking up. Children are growing up in environments which are not conducive to love and honesty. And these changes augur for a very unrestive society in future. And therefore, it becomes very important to stress honesty, truth as the very important value which needs to be carried forward from Gandhiji's time. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya. Honesty and Asteya means non-stealing. Obviously, would mean that we have to be honest. Moving forward, Brahmacharya. Gandhiji was very stressful about Brahmacharya, and he said Brahmacharya meaning chastity. Chastity not only in relationship between a man and a woman, but chastity in your relationship with everybody, including yourself. And the purity of action is the most important consideration for every action that we take. So to be chaste, to be pure, to be clean in your thought, in your intentions, in your actions is the most important in order to get a destiny that is pure. And this brahmacharya is much wider based than what the books have said as brahmacharya as a chastity between a man and a woman. The next one is asangraha. Asangraha would mean ultimately simplicity. And Gandhiji, Henry David Thoreau's article on simplify, simplify, simplify was one of the finest influences of modern thinking. And it just says that you give up all material possession so that you can enjoy all material possession. It sounds contradictory, but if you have to enjoy it, you shouldn't have to guard it. And he gives the example of as you accumulate more and more expensive things, the more and more you have to guard them, the more and more grief you will get to keep them safe. And if you want to keep acquiring, which means keep nurturing your desires, then it becomes a much more important thing to earn the money to buy the things which fan your desire. And this will lead to a lot of stress. And therefore, the same object which was assumed to be something to give you pleasure becomes a source of a lot of grief. And asangraha, let go, and let go being not only physical baggage, but emotional baggage, not even accumulate emotional baggage, would be a very important value to inculcate, not in self, but in family, in society, and so on. So these are 5 prime first values: ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, asangraha, sharir shram. Sharir shram means hard work. And hard work to what extent? We know that Gandhiji did a lot of hard work. But today, hard work is more intellectual hard work when you sit moving your fingers on the computer screen for the whole day and say, I worked very hard. But physical hard work, mental hard work, emotional hard work, spiritual hard work is the hard work that is referred to in Sharir Shram. But Sharir Shram refers to physical hard work, and that physical hard work is indispensable. So we need to bring that into our lives despite every influence which has taken it away from us. Whether you look on a daily basis, we have vehicles when we stop walking, we have elevators where we stop climbing, we have facilities even as simple as remote control to sit in one place and control the whole world. But if we, despite these, if we can bring in hard work, then that would lead to a lot of developments, which are not only health benefits, but also general benefits. Just as an interest value as a physician, I can tell you that physical hard work puts every joint through a lot of stress. And it is a known fact that there are nerves which connect every joint to every gland. And if you want to wake up the gland, you have to move the joint because you can't directly address the gland. And therefore, it becomes important for us to do hard work in order to keep our glands alive. And today, talking of glands, diabetes and thyroid is one of the most rampant diseases. The reason is that we have given up hard work and our joints have stopped stimulating our glands. So, Sharir Shram followed by Sharir Shram followed by Aswad. Now, Aswad is English translation would be to acquire simplicity in your taste. And that taste could be everything. Your taste for food, your taste for objects. And if you again simplify your food such that you don't spend so much time in just nurturing your physique and just grow into use food to nurture yourself for a higher ideal, then it becomes a much more important way of achieving something that is indelible rather than spend your whole life in just nurturing a living body. So Aswad is important. Sarvatra Bhaya Varjanam. This is the next important value that Gandhiji has extolled via this prayer. And Sarvatra Bhaya Varjanam means fearlessness. And fearlessness is something that is very, very important because physical strength and fearlessness don't go together. It's very easy in Gandhiji's words. If you read Hind Swaraj is given some very beautiful examples in his own words about fearlessness. Somebody asked him, he says that if you want to fight the British who is loaded with weapons, you must fight them in their own language. And Gandhiji said, do you realize how many weapons we would have to invest in and how many people would have to be armed in order to fight and how many of our people as well as their people will die. And in the process, we'll have only blood everywhere. And do you think that a hallowed country like India should be tainted with people's blood spread all over its fields in a fight which is a losing battle for both sides? And this fight will not end. It will be the victor who has the most arms and who has killed the most people. And as soon as the other side can rearm or regroup themselves, the battle will continue because not one side will give up forever. And this battle will not have any logical, sound, or peaceful end. And therefore, if confronted with a strong enemy, it is important for you to first develop fearlessness. Because if you develop fearlessness, you can confront that person empty-handed. He said it takes a lot more courage to stand in front of a cannon and say that I am not afraid of you to blow me up to smithereens. But it doesn't take any courage to sit behind a cannon and blow up 100 people to smithereens. And therefore, physical strength should not be measured from the amount of material warfare you can conduct, or how many instruments that, or how many weapons you can accumulate, because a moral strength or soul force is far more powerful than brute force. And he attaches this to sarvatra bhaya varjanam, means everybody should sacrifice fear. Eleanor Roosevelt has said in a very succinct phrase that you have nothing to fear but fear itself. And I think I might have told this to thousands of people via my lectures and via classes for children, that in life you have nothing to fear but fear itself. And that fear is whether it is for your exams, or whether it is for your next interview, or it is for business, or it is for the projected future, or anything. Is fear is something that can never be justified, though it is the most common emotion, because fear is something that has not happened, is a concern over something that has not happened. And therefore, if we start to live in the here and now, if we train ourselves and our subjects to live in the here and now, then each here and now gets its best. And if it gets its best, it will definitely have a good result. And every good resulted here and now becomes a happy past. And every future becomes a hopeful future. Because when the future becomes the present, it will get your best. Because you are habituated to live in the present. We are habituated to regret our past and live in our future and worry about the future, losing the perfectly good presence, the perfectly good present in worrying about the future and regretting the past. And when the present becomes the past, obviously it will become regret. It will be regretted again. And while you are in the new present, which was the future yesterday, that new present will be used to worry about tomorrow. And therefore, worrying about tomorrow and living and regretting the past is a habit that has to be to be snipped in the bud with children, and make them learn that you live in the here and now. You focus on this moment, give each moment your best. And that would be the root of fearlessness. Because the moment we can focus on the present moment, we can give it your best, then you have that confidence that every moment in future that becomes the present moment today will get its best. And that best will vary as per the experience that we gather. So Gandhiji exemplified, maybe not in those words itself, but he did exemplify it in his actions, that he must live in the here and now and not worry about the future. He gave his every here and now his best. And if you look at him, he is also another bag of chemicals only, just like all of us are. And a bag of chemicals which can function the same way as all of us can. But that bag of chemicals used every chemical properly and in a way which produced result at every moment. And if any of us can do that, I'm sure we can reach the same degree, same heights. And that is the whole crux of Sarvatra Bhayavarjanam. Sarva Dharma Samanatva. Now, this leads us to the biggest question today, and that is the battle of religions. You have Christianity broken into two, Protestants and Catholics. You have Muslims broken into two, Shias and Sunnis. You have Hindus broken into so many bits and so many different aspects. And then you have the major people fighting with each other. And all for what? If it is not Sarva Dharma Samanatva, if God in different languages is not the same one, then all of us are different. We have different blood, different skin, and different chemistry, which is not true. And that's why Gandhiji believed very strongly in Sarva Dharma Samanatva. And in his prayer meetings, they had a prayer of every religion. I remember reciting the Lord's Prayer or the prayer of Francis of Assisi. I remember reciting Islamic prayers. I remember reciting Hindu prayers, Parsi prayers, and all the small religions, Buddhist prayers, Jain prayers, and all of them would be in the same evening with stories from different religions, just to underscore the fact that God is the center of the circle and we stand at the periphery, and every religion is the radial length between the periphery to the center. And this fact, if children learn, then there is only one common factor between every single religion. When you say Sarva Dharma Samanatva, then compassion becomes the main common factor, love and compassion. And therefore, when I started teaching children 20 years ago, I started telling them, let's form a new religion. And whenever you get a form which asks you what is your religion, you write compassion. Don't write Islam, don't write Hindu, don't write Parsi, Zoroastrianism. Don't write that. That you practice. You practice what you like, but you write on the form compassion. So one of the children asked me, he said, is compassion a religion, sir? I said, there is no registration of a religion. There is no office that you have to approach and say that I'd like to register my religion. You practice which religion, you call it what you like. And when you can call it what you like, you can become the founder of that religion. And when a class of 30 children start calling their religion compassion, go back and tell their parents that I'm going to call my religion compassion, but I will practice whatever rituals you tell me. Then they tell 2 more people, and that makes it 90. 30 becomes 90. Then 90 starts practicing it. Neighbors also start following, and 90 becomes 900, and 900 carries on to encompass an entire society. And this is how we can change our whole attitude to religion, to worship. Because ultimately worship, religion, is to bring together. Legion meaning army, to bring the army together, is to bring people together. And therefore sarva dharma samanatva, every religion is the same. It is true because every religion writes in different languages the same values, and the values being compassion and love. The next value would be Swadeshi Sparsha Bhavna. 2 very important values which conclude all the 11. Swadeshi is again a team spirit. Every team, and today I can say the whole world is a team, but in the whole world also we have sub-teams. Like Indians are a team, Thais are a team, British are a team, Russians are a team, Iraqis are a team, or any country is a team. And that country happens to be a common culture, common religion, common thought, common color, common flag, and common representative symbols. So if we were a team, and if we have to develop the team and take all of us into success, then it's very important that we support each other. A team is never won by a single solitude, or a team cannot be, you can't have a hockey team where one of the players is scoring self goals to make the other team win. Then such a player becomes a liability. But when you come into the economic teams, you buy, this is especially with reference to Gandhiji, when you buy cloth manufactured in Britain, then the cloth is bringing livelihood to the British and not to your own people. And in the bargain, when the British brought machines into the country, it took away livelihood from so many people who did handloom. And that's the reason why Gandhiji stressed this fact, that Swadeshi is very important, that you support your own country, you support your own manufacturers, you support your own producers. And in that way, you all become unified together in your quest for success. And you don't get one person being successful at the expense of the rest of the population. But today, we are faced with the same dilemma which Gandhiji has expressed so well in Hind Swaraj, in his most masterly small booklet. And Hind Swaraj says that in that he says that he is deadly against machines. He's deadly against the railway. Now this sounds very radical today, that how can you be against railway? How can you be, and why should you be against railway? But he was. And the fact he said is that the railways brought people to transport from one place to another, and it also carried diseases from one place to another. And today we can't see it in more picturesque manner when the pandemic has spread all over. 100 years ago, in 1918 to 20, when you had Spanish flu pandemic, the same problem occurred. And there also, it was shiploads of people shifting from America to Europe and to Africa. And that's how the Spanish flu became a pandemic. And today we have plane loads of people shifting and going all over the world. And before you knew it, China starting it had spread it all over the world. And so Swadeshi has a very deep meaning. Obviously, we cannot follow what he wrote in 1910 or 1920 about Swadeshi, where he said that we should only support our own country. Of course, we should support our country. But today, if you ask a young boy, he'll say that the world is a global village, and he can live in India, and he can work in the United States, and he can travel to Europe, all at the drop of a penny. And so they don't have any feelings of boundary, which is a very nice thing. And I think that would need us to modify the word Swadeshi slightly to suit our present sense. But that is something that we can debate and think about, and not for today's platform. And the last being Sparsha Bhavna. Sparsha Bhavna stems from one of our most antiquated habits of caste system, where untouchability was something that was completely despicable. But today, Sparsha Bhavna would mean to me equality. It would mean equality amongst people. And the equality of people would be the best way of moving shoulder to shoulder and doing something constructive, rather than continuously having animosity with human to human interactions. And therefore, I feel that in a summary, if I have to calculate, if I have to express all the values that Gandhiji stood for over a period of time, in his finality, he stood for all 11 values. Because as he picked up new values, he incorporated them in his life. And because of that, he reached this level of immortality, this level where in India, I noticed that every single currency note has his picture on it. And I don't think there is any country in the world today that every currency note has only one man's picture. Even in Britain, when I'm visiting today, that was my first disclaimer, which I didn't say, that I am a normal resident of Bombay. I have a son who lives in Britain, and I'm visiting him. Therefore, today I speak to you live from UK. Even in Britain, no two notes have the same face. The Queen's face is there on most of the notes, but there are some notes which have another face on it too. In America, every note has a different president or a different person's face. Obviously, America churned out a lot of good people, and UK churned out a lot of good people, but nobody has come to the stature which Gandhiji achieved. And that's the reason why even so many years later, Gandhiji still inspires young people, old people, and nations as a whole. So these were the 11 values which I thought summarize Gandhiji's values. And if these values, if we succinctly bring them into our life, we will exemplify yet another saying popularized by Gandhiji: be the change you want to see in the world. And if we be the change, when Gandhiji talked about getting freedom for the country, he said that you don't get freedom for your country, you get freedom for yourself. Each Indian will have to get freedom for himself, because then only it will be self-governance. And he said that will happen when you incorporate these 12 values into yourself, these 11 values into yourself, and change yourself. Because that change, when it happens on a collective level, the entire nation will be free. Said, as long as we leave the whole process of getting freedom to a few people and hope that they will get it for you, you will never be free. You will only have a different dictator at the top. You leave it to the princes to fight against the British. The British would go, the princes would take over, and you will still be a slave of the princes. You stop being a slave to anyone. You be a slave only to yourself. And in that way, you can get independent freedom. And that freedom collectively would be freedom of the nation. And this message, I feel, is still not understood by people, because I don't see people who work towards a change in themselves. They want change in the world. They want things the way they want, but they don't want to change it themselves. They are surprised when someone else is dishonest, when a policeman asks for a bribe, but they don't realize that they are the ones who gave it. And when you give it, you're as bad as the one who takes it. And therefore, it becomes important that first we change ourselves. And I think that's the crux of the relevance of Gandhian values, which happen to be Gandhian values, but I'd say they're as much anyone's values. And I'd just like to close with a quick story, is that when Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson studied those books from the Upanishads and Vedas, got these two qualities which passed on to Gandhiji in jail, and then Gandhiji used it to get freedom for India. Henry David Thoreau went on record to have said that I have paid back the debt to India, which I have taken so many years ago. I gleaned my knowledge from the books from India, and now I have been able to give it back, and I can rest in peace. And from Gandhiji, the book, the writings and deeds of Gandhiji, it went back to America to Martin Luther King, who then fought for his freedom, for his country's freedom, and also to Nelson Mandela, who then fought for South African freedom. And in every case, the same values stood by these gentlemen. And today, these values have become unassailable and have been rated as the finest qualities possessed by man. With these few words, I'd like to again thank all of you for listening in so intently to a person who's not that experienced. And I hope that this can lead to some thought process which can bring us all together closer, even though we are far in our physical distance, but emotionally we are all one. And on that note, I'd like to conclude my speech. Thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Manu, Sanjay ji, for having invited me and given me this great opportunity. I'm very happy to hear comments and your questions also. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anand Gokani ji. Very inspiring summary of Gandhian values that we can carry forward in 21st century. Thank you so much on behalf of all of us for summarizing the thoughts in a very comprehensive manner and very interesting manner, actually, through the Sanskrit sloka and Vedas. So thank you so much. Very inspiring thoughts from you. Now I would like to have some opportunity to discuss a few things, because we have people who joined us here on the Zoom conference as well as online as well on the Facebook. So, but I would like to start with the people who would like to ask questions with Dr. Anand Gokani. So the floor is open. Please ask one by one. So all of you can ask one question, no problem. So Dr. Anand Gokani, so next, let's say 15-20 minutes we can spend on discussion on some particular questions that you have for Dr. Anand Gokani. So please raise your hand and start asking the question, comments, suggestions, anything you want to share with us, but try to keep it as brief as possible. Yeah.
I have a question to Dr.
Yes,
Anand.
please, sir.
I would like to know whether in the family there any story that told about Mahatma Gandhi who get furious, angry with anything. Has it be angry at all? Bad mood?
Yes, there are many incidents that he. I can tell you one example. when he left South Africa to come to India, he had already created a big impact in South Africa. And that impact was he had galvanized the Indian diaspora in South Africa to unite and to fight against oppression, because at that time apartheid was at its peak.
Yes.
And then he was then his work for which he had gone to South Africa had finished, and leaving behind a large collection of friends, well-wishers, and admirers, he was to sail to India with his family. So, as you know, custom is many people gave a lot of gifts, and some of these gifts were expensive jewelry to Kasturba, Gandhiji's wife. And when they were about to leave, Gandhiji inspected all the gifts, and he said that we cannot take anybody's gift because these are all expensive things. So Kasturba who was a more worldly person, had said that no, this was gifted to me and not to you, so the decision is mine and not yours. And then there ensued a massive quarrel between the two of them, where Gandhiji and Kasturba were allegedly in strong argument, because Kasturba was, as you remember, was 6 months older than Gandhiji. And by virtue of that, I don't have to describe to this learned audience what happens when the girl is older than you when you argue. And Kasturba and he argued a lot till finally Gandhiji, in his anger, snatched the jewelry and returned it to the people who had given it to him, and said that we cannot accept any of these gifts because we subscribe to simplicity. And that is a glaring example in one of his personal tirades with anger. There are many episodes between him and his elder son, because again, Gandhiji was a human being, not exempted from the human fallacies and human weaknesses. He, in all his good intention, he being a young father of his first son, he wanted to give his son a start in life which was very novel, which society was not ready for, and neither was the son ready for. And then that led to a lot of things which are now described in the history books between father and son, where the elder son rebelled and left home, did many things which were against Gandhiji's teachings, and maybe only due to rebellion. But that interaction again was a very angry interaction. So these are episodes that come to mind. Still, they don't undermine Gandhiji as a human being of par excellence, because he just underscores the fact that he was a human being just like everybody, like all of us. He also felt pain, he also felt anger, he also felt love, he also had passion and compassion. So it only gives us the happy notion that we can also achieve the same thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, K.C. Agarwal ji, I would like to inform everybody today, Sri Kailash Chandra Agarwal ji, he is the recipient of Gandhi Shanti Samman. So let me congratulate on behalf of entire Thai Indian community.
Congratulations.
Agarwal ji, for receiving the Gandhi Shanti Samman 2021 today. So KC ji, please little bit speak something about.
Respected Dr. Anand Gokani ji, the famous legend Gandhiji, our Rashtrapita. I really, and Dr. Mano, Director, Rangsit University, founder of the Gandhian Institute, Sanjay ji, and all present VIPs and dignitaries. I welcome you all, and I pay my tribute to the great men who bring freedom to our country. And and today I have been honored, so I am proud to have received this Gandhi Samman Award. Of course, we are just like say we have to preach, and the purity is the essence. So we have to have pure thoughts. So whatever we like a vegetarian, jaisa ann vaisa man. So you have to have eat vegetarian diet, and you have purity of thoughts, and then preaching. So Gandhiji never used to preach what he never used to practice. So he used to practice first on himself, then he used to preach. And then he was a person, he was such a noble soul that he used to understand the pain of the general common man. So which is very, very essential, in order to in his bhajan also, तीर पराई जाने रहे. So इसलिए मतलब all he had those qualities. He was right imbibing, and he was to understand that ultimately at the uh, last lane of our, he represented a poor nation when he was in England, and he met King George V, and he was he was going to meet him in a lion cloth only, very, 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 very frugally dressed. So that is amazing. I mean, that kind of guts, and he was, nobody could dare to seek an audience with the King George in that attire. But he said, I am representing a poor nation. So he was very proud of. And he used to represent the entire 30 odd million at that time, 30 crore people or 40 crore people. And when he was in Africa, also, like when this Satyagraha is, he really is, he was the preacher of the truth. And then Agraha means request. So when you are true to, and then you are truly requesting something, then even, your prayers are answered. So he was a very, something special. And like that Dr. Anand Gokani has said, that if we imbibe in us, in all those 11 beautiful virtues, but he has said that even if we take 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, it can definitely, we can treasure, and we can definitely transform ourselves. And if this entire movement, or the whole our young generation to come also get this message, or when we prepare some kind of small videos or small plays or something, and in giving these qualities of Dr. Gandhiji, so then definitely we can motivate our young generations, and that can definitely transform the whole society. And whatever is thinking, his doctrines so old, so early in those times, because of the environment at that time was something else, and he was very progressive in his thought. I mean, they are still relevant, and today, like, we need it very much, his doctrines, to solve that. As Dr. Mano has said, that there are conflicts arising between Taiwan and China, and so much of unrest. So when we peacefully resolve, we can peacefully resolve it. So all these things, that means it is very much prevalent. We need these Gandhian thoughts and principles, which are based on, like he was an ardent follower of Gita also. In Gita, whenever he used to have some stress or something kind of some problem, he used to read Gita, and then maybe he used to find some answer in that hidden. So that was very nice. I mean, and we have this kind of Indian culture. So our culture and meditation, this yoga and all these things, ardent followers. So I really appreciate from the heart that Dr. Gokani has, whatever he has said, all these 11 qualities, and the audiences, and Dr. Mano has whatever said. I'm really very delighted and very, very proud to have be a join of this webinar, and hopefully we'll have many more sessions like this. And I thank very much for organizing such a nice intellectual webinar, and to fortify the values given by Lord Gandhi. I mean, I would say, Lord, he is the Rashtrapita. So I mean, he's really, in true sense, not only for our, like it is completely for the world. Now today, great thinkers are, following, like all those, like mentioned Martin Luther King, Aung San Suu Kyi, Nelson Mandela, all those were calling him as a guru, and a lot of philosophers from like America, like they studied Sanskrit and then they made some books on that. So this is really, we are very proud of him today, and we are very proudly celebrating his 152nd birthday. So really tribute to him. So I salute him with the whole head, soul, and very, very inspirational to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you, KC Ji. Okay. Nikki Ji, आप कुछ पूछ रहे हैं क्या?
Yeah, I had a question. If he could answer that in current value, if we are talking about Gandhian virtues and values, I know it's too late to have a beginning, but how would he guide us where to start and how to do if we want to do something for world peace? Because I'm very much interested, and there is only one thing that I would like to gift any country or the whole human race, that the message of peace. So can you just guide us how to go on with this?
You have asked a very profound question about how we can influence world peace. And I can tell you that there are more people on this earth who want peace and very few who actually want war. It is those unthinking people who happen to govern the world who want the war without having to go and face the bullets themselves. And it's not only war of machine guns and pattern tanks and bombers. It's a war of words. It's a war of ideologies. It's a war of different thinking. And coming back to where to start, then you start from beginning always, and the beginning is yourself. So first, whatever you want the world to be, you have to achieve it yourself. And when you achieve, whilst you're achieving it yourself, I have seen this, that your actions speak louder than your words. I had tried teaching my children to be simple, but they're living in a world of materialism. Advertisements do continuous work on television, and television does continuous work in the house, and therefore advertisements will continuously influence them that, look, if you don't have this car, you are no good. If you don't wear these clothes, you are left behind. You will not be up to the par. And so working on our fragile egos and our fragile self-esteem, all these companies want you to buy their product. But at that time, a quiet voice in the house in from one corner is saying, be simple, don't buy these things. But when it comes to actual practice, we are not different from the children. So then I decided that I will not say ever again to do anything, but I will do it myself. And when I start doing it, I realized that many things I started doing 20 years ago, when I see a few years later, I see my sons doing the same thing because they are watching me do it. And likewise, when I go to classes and I take children for camps or even grown-ups around me, I do it. And when they see that this is being done by one, because most of us believe in the herd instinct, and what everybody does, we'll do. Otherwise, we are left behind. The biggest disease today is FOMO, fear of missing out. And we fear of missing out. Everyone's doing, so I must do. Everyone is eating this, so I must eat it. If everyone orders a pizza, I must order a pizza, because otherwise, what will I talk with my friends? I must know where the best pizza is available. Not that the pizza is not your national food. It's not something that you can eat every day. But it is something that everyone does, called peer pressure. And so why not exert your peer pressure in a nice way? I think the only person you can be responsible for is yourself. After a lot of thinking, I also have ambitions of being world peace. I see dreams of getting peace prize, Nobel Peace Prize. So why not, if Barack Obama can get it without doing anything for peace, then why can't I get it? I can also get it someday. But then I say, where to start? That big question, where to start? I can't go to Hyde Park in London and stand on that stool and start speaking. It's not going to get peace. So I say, okay, start with yourself and start slowly. It's like a large pond. It is lying completely still like glass. And I am like, you are like a pebble that fell in the center. And there will be one ripple around you. Then there will be a second and third and fourth and fifth. And in due time, the whole pond will be covered with ripples till the ripples will all stop. But it will definitely not stop in the middle. It will stop only when it reaches the end. And so your action will also lead to the same thing. It will lead to ripple formation. And I feel the ripple effect is not only just in the pond, but in life also. So I feel that might be the only way. When today we have, let's say 50 people or 100 people have decided that we change ourselves in 50 different or 100 different places in the world, and they start to transmit these ripples. I don't see very far in the future where it will cover the entire community. And that might be the time. And it will only happen when we make some start.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And I really liked your message about compassion, the religion compassion.
Thank you.
It was a very good idea.
I read your message. Thank you.
Yeah, I really love it. My son always keep on saying that why people ask to fill in the form the religion.
That
it
is only for
racism?
statistics. That
Yeah.
is so that they can say they are 50% Hindu and 40% Muslim and 10%
Yes.
others. So let's get them a statistic. We'll write compassion. If everyone write compassion, they'll say 100% religion in this country is compassion.
Yes.
And
Thank
then
you very much.
There's no question. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay ji.
Now I invite Manjul Kapoor ji. Please ask your question, Kapoor ji.
Thank you for the lecture. I would just like to, I am very curious. My son, my grandson was here. He was listening the lecture. He was telling that he is the grandson of Gandhi. Why his name is not Gandhi?
Because Gandhiji had 4 sons. So obviously their surname is Gandhi. And the 3rd son had a daughter who is my mother, who married Gokani. And so my name becomes Gokani. So I am grandson from mother's side.
Oh, okay.
So that's
And
why
I would like to share the same question I also had. Even Dr. Manu also had same question. But I like to share that Dr. Gokani has responded that he really practicing the Gandhian thoughts and philosophies and values. He said that I don't want to take advantage of being a grandson of Gandhi. So I like that the frank opinion that Dr. Gokani said on a few days back to us, that his surname is Gokani and he's a grandson of Gandhi, great grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. But at the same time that he's not looking that, okay, people know him just because of the great grandson of Gandhi, because Dr. Gokani has his own personality, on character to influence others. So I like this idea that Dr. Gokani shared with us, that he don't want to take any advantage of being a great grandson of Gandhi. Instead of that, he want to create a real impact in the society through the Gandhian values. So thank you, Gokani for your wonderful explanation on that.
thank you, Sanjay.
Okay, now Sati ji, do you want to add some comments or something or some questions, please?
Thank you, Sanjay ji.
The only thing I want to say is that, that's what I have heard today from our excellent speakers about Gandhiji 11 teaching, right, or 11 concept of Gandhiji. I think that we need all these things to be translated into Thai language so we can teach our Thai public, because these are very valuable things, and it also coincides with both Hinduism and Buddhism. You see, Thailand is a Buddhist country. We are about 90 or 97% Buddhist people. And all these concepts are also written in the Tipitaka. And I think
Yes.
that Dr. Mano knows about it very well, because he's been the monk for 25 years. So I think that is in Tipitaka, it's also in our own scriptures, right? So I think if
Yes.
it's combined together, it can be a very good teaching for our younger generation, and we can expand it point by point. If
Yes.
Gandhi, if our institute can sort of print out or make out in such a way that we can sort of publicize or to all the general public, I'll be the most happiest person among them. Thank you very much.
No, I fully endorse your view, and it has been my endeavor in the last 10 years to write a book on these 11 vows, each with stories, so that young people can read it. But unfortunately, between my practice and my work and my social responsibilities, I haven't had time to really sit down and do it in a tangible manner. The stuff is all here. It has to translate and come down onto paper. But I fully agree with you that if there was a readable book or booklet which explained these things from the beginning to end, with interesting stories of everyday life, it would definitely make a big impact on students.
I think that it will be one of the best tools, to reach
Yes.
them, and perhaps it will be very useful for them in the coming future, not only for this generation, I mean for
No,
coming generation
yes,
also,
for
because this
future
is
generation.
a sort of immortal type of
Yes.
advice, right? Thank you very much indeed, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have one question. I have one question, because you are a practicing medical doctor. Is there any conflict when your patient who is dying? Are you supposed to tell them the truth that you are dying? Because that will hurt their feeling and put them on despair, very sad mood, and they will die faster. But that is telling the truth. This is the bad aspect of telling the truth.
No, I will tell you, when I get a patient like that, and he says that like the diagnosis may be advanced cancer.
Yeah.
And the patient asks me, am I dying?
Yeah.
My answer is, even I am dying. We are all dying, and it's only a question of time. And it's not about how long you live.
Yeah.
It is about how deep you live. And when someone tells you, someone comes to me through some other doctor, and if that doctor has told him, look, you have only 6 months to live. So sometimes to break the seriousness, I laugh and I tell him, wow, you got a guarantee for 6 months. I don't even have a guarantee for 6 minutes. So I don't know what's going to happen next minute when I walk out from here, because actually life is uncertain in that respect. And that there's no guarantee that if someone tells you have 6 months, it means only 6 months. And there are enough stories in the literature which say that someone given 6 months lived for 15 years, and someone given 15 years lived for 15 minutes. So death is inevitable to everything that was born. And therefore, it's how you present it to the person. And it's not that we have to only talk of it as a pessimistic end, because most of us are afraid of death. And death is something that we don't even discuss, we don't even talk about, forget about that, we don't even think about it. We only fear it. I have written a long essay on death and given a lecture on the philosophy of death and dying.
Oh, I would like to have. I would like to have.
I will email it to you, sir.
Yeah.
as soon as the lecture is over. Because I used to give lectures for common interest to patients, and every lecture I used to have about, my hall in the hospital has about 300 people space, but I would get about 45 people, and other lecturers would get 15 and 20. So they would be very envious that you got 45 people. How? I said, I speak on weird subjects like hope, faith, solitude, advancing age, and so on. And then one day I took the courage and I wrote a lecture on the philosophy of death and dying. On that day, I got 450 people, and the hall was full, the floor was full, and the standing space was full. And after that, the management stopped my lectures because they said that this man is getting too popular for their liking. But that lecture invited so many people because everybody inside them wants to know, but is afraid to ask, afraid to think. And so we are living in a world with myths about death. I think if we address it frontally, there is no fear in it.
I also am the president of Palliative Care Thailand Foundation. I've been working on this for 40 years.
I know.
An intern, and I teach meditation to dying patients. I have classes that teach them every week, Saturday and Sunday, to volunteer to help dying patients. It will start at the end of this month, free of charge.
Do you have? Do we have time for a short story?
Yes.
On
yes,
this
please.
issue?
Please, yes.
I tell my patients. I tell many people. I try to figure it out that if you have watched a bonfire, the bonfire is a flame which throws out sparks, and these small sparks they live for a few seconds and then they die. And I said to myself one day when I was watching a bonfire that maybe the sun, like we worship the sun. So I said maybe the sun is like a bonfire and it throws out sparks, and each spark has a life of a few years relative to the sun. The sun has been there for eternity. So these sparks may be there for 100 years. And so I said, maybe the creator is a bonfire and we are sparks. Now this is a conversation between a spark and the bonfire. The spark tells the bonfire that I want to become like you. And the bonfire says, you are too petty and you are too inexperienced to be like me. If you want to be like me, you will have to go through a tremendous upheaval in your life. And you will have to be very experienced and have to go through a lot of diligent work. So the spark says, I am very keen on doing that. So after a lot of debate and a lot of preparatory talk, the bonfire tells the spark that, okay, I send you to my university where you will be trained to become what you want to become. And so there are 500 subjects. These subjects could be anger, hatred, jealousy, greed, fear, grief, guilt, anxiety, love, hate, love and compassion, and like that you enumerate 500 things. You have to learn all these and you have to pass them, and only after you pass can you become a bonfire. You can become a fire like me. And so this spark is enclosed in a uniform and sent to the university. The uniform being our human body and the university being the earth. And you are born in a family where you will have the education you are deserved for that 100-year period. Now you come here with no knowledge why you have come. And so life starts happening to you and you start leading it. Some people fritter it away, some people focus. At the end of 50, 60, 70 years, the uniform is worn out and is ripped in some places, is gone out, doesn't work in some places. It becomes defective till finally that uniform is not usable. And therefore the soul leaves the uniform and goes back to the maker. And the maker asks him, what have you done in this year, this term? And the uniform says that spark says, I learned only 2 subjects. The third, I didn't get time. So he said, you will have to go back and repeat that year. And so he comes back with a new uniform and a stricter teacher. And he lands up in a house which is even stricter, where he will have to learn that subject. Now, when he learns that subject, he goes back and then gets taught new subjects. Or in the same lifetime, he gets circumstances which change the subject. So misfortune becomes fortune. And that's how he goes life after life, between birth, death, birth, death cycle, till he learned all 500 subjects. Now, when he comes down to earth to learn his 498th subject, he may be a 5-year-old child sitting next to a 70-year-old grown-up who is in his 5th birth and has learned only 200 subjects. And this one is into his 50th birth and he's done 498 subjects. There is a distinct difference in the maturity level between the 5-year-old and the 70-year-old. And many times I say, this old man is talking so childish. How come? He should at least be more mature. But this little boy is so mature. And now I start figuring out, I said, this logic makes it fit that this 5-year-old is 5 in his 200th birth. And that one is 70 in his 100th birth. And there's a difference in the total knowledge inside, which is the emotional quotient. And finally, when you finish graduating in all 500, then you get moksha, which we say nirvana, and then you become a power of your own, and you then start your own university. So this is when you stop worrying about death and life, because you know one day you have to come back and learn new subject in better situation or worse situation. Now, this is only theory for pacification.
Thank you for sharing.
This is something new, Dr. Gokani. This is something new explanation we learned from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I invite Basant Dugarji. You want to ask any question or give some suggestions? Dugarji. आप unmute कर लीजिए, unmute. हाँ जी.
Can the gentle person, noble person like him be the part of UN body? Of the 10 countries at the moment they can get one more person like him to teach them the values of peace. Narendra Modi has given the daring and bold speech at this time in the UN that if they not act, all values will be gone. They must act. So his words, actions must speak is relevant at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Gokani, any comment on this?
I think this was more a statement, and what he says, right? We should basically all unite to spread this information of whatever is beneficial for society at large. And I think that would be that is my ongoing effort, and I'm sure your effort and your goals also. I should not say yours and mine now, it should be ours, because it is similar.
Okay, now I would like to ask Kursum Song. You want to ask any question to the speaker?
Swadika. Actually, I like to congratulate for the Rangsit University to arrange to have the 5th Gandhi talk series today. And actually, I am Thai, but I'm really grateful to Mahatma Gandhi. You know, when I speak, I feel like crying. I having big photo, of Mahatma Gandhi when I went to Gujarat to his house, and I bought a very big photo of Mahatma Gandhi and put in my room. I feel like I'm Indian, one of the Indian. Really, I'm really learning a lot. Today the speech today, and I think I also agree with Kun Sathit that we should also translate into Thai language to teach to the Thai people who are really studying in Thailand also. So we really having very good knowledge today, and by hearing the speaker today, I'm really grateful to him, and also really having really big thanks to Rangsit University and the speaker also. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Kun Somsong.
Yes.
Kun Somsong, Dr. Anandji, Kun Somsong, she is the Vice President of India Thai Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And she's very active in especially the tourism sector between India and Thailand. So her efforts are wonderful. So we all appreciate her work towards India and Thailand relationship.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm also the Vice President of Tourism Council of Thailand.
Thank you
and
so
also
much.
Is someone,
yeah.
I will have to keep in very close contact with you because I have never visited Thailand, and I'm looking at the backdrop behind Sanjay ji. I think is very quickly we must make a trip there.
Yes, we will invite you.
But I must say that my family is extremely fond of Thai food, which is number one by far.
Oh, I see. And
So
just for your kind information, sir, that today I went to the airport to see off the repatriation flight which arranged by the Indian government to send an India aircraft to pick up the stranded passenger from here. This is the 52 times already, and every flight I went to the airport with my husband.
Yeah, that's
very busy at the airport. Yes.
That's very good.
Yes.
Okay. So
thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rashmiji, any question you want to ask? Rashmi? She just went out. Okay. Okay, fine. So let me, we are, I think, finishing on the right time now. It's almost 7:30 done, 7:33 actually. So, Dr. Anand Gokani ji, thank you so much for addressing the 5th Gandhi Talk series, both on Zoom as well as on the Facebook Live. A lot of people are watching on Facebook as well. Okay, I want to conclude this 5th Gandhi Talk series by a few things I would like to mention. Number one thing that we had a great event today, 2 events actually at the university. So with your permission, I'd like to share some photographs with you now so that you can get what we have done today over there. So can you see my screen, please?
Not yet.
Now, okay?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a Deputy Chief of Mission, Srimati Alpana Dubey ji, and she visited the Rangsit University as a chief guest. And you can see Sathit ji here, KC Agrawal ji here, Rashmi at the back, and Dr. Mano and myself. Then this is the passage we are walking from the university to from the Gandhi statue to the auditorium, 3rd floor. And this is we had a wonderful discussion on trusteeship. And I remember that Dr. Anand Gokani would like to have the proceedings of this discussion today. So,
yes.
So we had a very good discussion on trusteeship at the 3rd floor of the Rangsit University. So because of the pandemic, we could not invite large gatherings, but we had about 15, 20 people over there. But it was wonderful discussion. All participated, give their comments, feedback, suggestions. Then this was the donation we have received from our guest of honor today, from the Guruji Sri Ardavji, who joined the ceremony in the morning. And then This is Achan Mano, honored our chief guest, Dr. Srimati Alpana Dubey. Same photographs. And okay, they said that congratulations to our Sri K.C. Agrawal ji and Madam Deepsika Agrawal ji. They are the recipient of the Gandhi Shanti Samman, the well-deserved family, firmly believe in Gandhian values and practicing trusteeship, helping the Indian diaspora in Thailand. So we greatly value their contribution as a whole in the society. So this was the Gandhi Shanti Samman given to the Sri K.C. Agrawal ji. This is the second time we have given to him. First one was Guruji, Sri Arnav ji, and second Sri K.C. Agrawal ji. And hopefully we will try to continue this on annual basis in the future as well. Then Madam Chief Guest, she spoke very well about the event. And she also said same thing, that the trusteeship is required to make a good balance in the society of rich and poor, and somehow the make a bridge between the people who are highly rich people and also people who need support. So if both can come together and make a bridge, then we can have a balanced society in the world. And again, these are some photographs of this roundtable discussion. Then we have again photos. So this is the Dr. Gokani. The reason I'm sharing because to see the environment at the university. So we have a Gandhi statue here.
It's very beautiful.
And we try to give some Thai touch also by putting the umbrella the Gandhi. So, and this is something that we have never done actually, because I and both Acha and Dr. Mano, we thought that we have to lead the society with examples. So just honoring the celebration of Gandhiji, Gandhi's birthday is not enough. We have to carry forward his thoughts into action as well. So we have supported the poor families with the distribution of rice right after the gala-wedding ceremony. And I personally feel I really like this activity because it's something that we can do in real life, not only just celebration of Gandhi Jayanti, but also practicing the Gandhian values of supporting the poor people. So that is what we have done. So we have about 51 families who benefited today. We wanted to do more, but because of the time limit and all that, but Dr. Anand Gokani, we have done the Seva activity at the Ganesh festival also recently. All 3 days, we have supported around 300 families with the rice, and because currently the pandemic in Thailand has impacted economically the society, so we would like to give a little bit of our support to them.
Yeah, that's very good.
That was our efforts today, and we have tried our best. And this is exactly the Gandhi statue at the university. So you can see the Satish ji here, and K.C. Agrawal ji, Madam Alpana Dubey ji, Dr. Harshan Mehta, Nikki ji also here. So this is, you can see Guruji Arnav ji, who is also our trustee of the Gandhi Institute, Achan Mano. And again, this is a ceremony over there. So just want to give you a glimpse of that, what we have done today.
It's wonderful. I think you're doing a brilliant job. Very good.
So one thing I mentioned today, that I read your article somehow online, that there is a little bit of Gandhi in everyone.
There is. Some
people have 10%, some people have 20%, some people have 90%, maybe KCG have 80%. So there's a little bit of Gandhi everyone. So we need to keep that spark within us and carry forward our mission to help the society as much as we can in our life. So that is the message that we have given on the Gandhi Jayanti, that even though you have 5%, 10%, 20%, so try to bring that spark within you and carry forward the mission of Mahatma Gandhi. Even the great personality, we are remembering him even after 152nd birthday anniversary celebration. So we see the values important, especially in the terms of the sustainable development and sufficiency economy that King Rama IX also practiced in Thailand. So
Very good.
in those directions, I think the Gandhiji is still relevant today.
Yeah.
So we may be a little bit, as I said, we may have like a few percentage or less or more, but it is relevant for today. And as
It will always be relevant.
Gokani also given us 11 values. And I will sit down with Dr. Mano and try to find the ways to summarize those 11 values in a booklet format, both in Thai and English, so that it can be made available to the people who want to understand Gandhiji with very, very quick stories, not too long, especially for the younger generation. So we'll work on that in Gandhi Institute. So today we had a very busy day, and we have concluded the 3 events on the Gandhi Jayanti celebration, and we are ending with your talk. And we are very fortunate to have you as a speaker. We'd like to develop our friendship in future. We will invite you in person once the pandemic is over. We will make sure that you move around Thailand, look more. Thailand also done a lot of good things in terms of the Gandhian values,
Yes.
So we all learn from each other. And, and I think we need your support, your best wishes, your valuable inputs to make
You
Gandhi.
have all of them. You have all of them in abundance.
So with that, I would like to conclude our Gandhi Talk series, and we'll be in touch in person. And yes, Kapoor ji, कुछ बोल रहे हैं क्या?
Yes. You see, we are very fortunate to have a discussion or having the lecture, listening the live lecture from the Gandhi family. We were just listening Gandhiji only books. So we are very fortunate, and we will like to meet him when he is coming to Bangkok, and we will be very fortunate to see him. Especially Gandhi family member, somebody.
So on behalf of all of us, I would like to invite Dr. Anand Gokani to Thailand.
Thank you so
we will
much.
take care of you in Thailand. Don't worry anything. Once the pandemic is over, we will have an interaction. We will have a move around. We'll also make sure you enjoy Thai food. And one thing, last question I would like to ask to you before we conclude our event. Is it difficult to become Gandhi now?
If you're technologically sound, it's not difficult. Because whilst technology was what he hated most, but technology spreads information and misinformation. So if you can be that instrument that spreads information, inspiration, you can have a epidemic of good thoughts. And that's what you all have already started doing. So I think sometimes children are just misguided. They're not guided. And if there is enough influence to guide, they are like clean slates. They can be, and they are very proactive. I think if we start by teaching them fearlessness, not to fear anyone, speak your heart. Children's hearts are clean. They always speak the truth. They just have to be known that they will not be punished for saying the truth. So I think it's not difficult, but it has to start somewhere. In our own small way, we are all trying. One day that result will show.
Okay. As I said, Dr. Anand Gokani, that there is a little bit of Gandhi in everyone. So we all need to just find out that and start working on that. So with that words, I would like to conclude your
Thank you so much.
Gandhi
Thank you,
Talk
all of
series.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for
you
joining
this
from
honor.
London. Please
Thank
convey
you.
our best wishes to your family also.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
So thank you everybody for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
thank you very
all
much,
of
sir.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. สวัสดีค่ะ
คุณซอมซองครับ สวัสดีครับ
Thank you.
Thank you very much all. Adam?
Thank you very much, Sanjay ji. It was
Nikki
very
bhai.
nice talking. Yeah, thank you very, very much.
See, substance matters, you know.
Yes, yes.
Maybe
बहुत अच्छा लगता है
we have a less
Yeah.
or more people doesn't matter, but substantive discussion is important.
Quality is important.
And
And it was
where
very
your
good.
success is imminent. So you are the symbol of success.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kapoor ji. Thank you.
ये
Very
संजय अच्छा हो गया कि मतलब उन्होंने एक्सेप्ट किया कि थाईलैंड आना चाहते हैं, तो
He will come.
ये अच्छा हो गया है। गांधी फैमिली का कोई ना कोई पर्सन अपने थ्रू इंडिया में यहाँ पे थाईलैंड में आए, विजिट करे, अपने मेहमान है, तो एक अच्छा लगता है कि हमें गांधी फैमिली का कोई ना
नहीं
कोई।
तो क्या है ना, वो गांधी जी की जनरेशन आप पता नहीं कहाँ गुम हो गए ना, दे आर नॉट विजिबल वेरी मच ना, तो बट एटलीस्ट वी कैन ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट मोर ऑन दैट। चलिए, थैंक यू कपूर जी।
चलिए, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू निक्की भाई, नमस्कार।
या थैंक यू। बाय।
All the best.
चलो।